Welcome back to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is Cyrus, your host. We talk about some complex metaphysical, spiritual types of subjects. And tonight, coming at you from Indonesia, I've left the Philippines in a new apartment that's pretty nice, primarily because the internet works great. And when you're traveling in Southeast Asia, let me tell you, nothing is more of a godsend than finding yourself someplace with nice functioning internet. So tonight, the topic of ego. Why the idea of destroying the ego is extreme, and how we should reapproach that topic. I have spoken about this before in a few videos back, but this will be a bit more in-depth. Before we get into this, if you're new here, then please go down, hit the subscribe button. If you like this kind of stuff, then hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share it on Facebook. All that keeps a fledgling channel like this going. This is the channel for the Facebook group Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, which is much, much bigger than this channel. But still takes a little while to get this channel noticed, it seems like, even despite all the members of the group and the people who are involved in the communities surrounding like my books and things like that. So it's definitely a challenge on YouTube. I don't know why. Anyway, so we're talking about ego. The topic was brought up by Gordon Robertson a few days ago. Gordon basically posted this to as many esoteric, spiritual, metaphysical groups as he could. And I say bravo to Mr. Robertson, whomever this guy is, because he is in all the groups. He doesn't participate that much that I've seen. He hasn't participated in the thread on Afterlife Topics, but basically he's spreading a message that needs to be heard, and it concerns the ego. Continually I hear this trope going on in these groups, including ours, Afterlife Topics, and many others, that if you want, quote, spiritual enlightenment, then you need to, quote, kill the ego. And that ego, no matter what, at all times is a bad thing that needs to be resisted, destroyed, eliminated. And the more we go toward the elimination of the individual, then somehow the better off we'll be. This culminates with the kind of galactic soup thinking I sometimes refer to in New Age circles that say that anything that is not just pure of merging back into God and disappearing into that is somehow improper. And in a very puritanical way, that is the thing that we all have to be aspiring towards. So if you like chocolate, if you like painting sunsets, and you like puppies, I'm afraid to tell you these are all earthly attachments, and then when we die, we may have versions of these things that we can experience if you're still attached to those very earthly habits, until you learn to wean yourself off of those and go back into the light where you merge back with God and enter perpetual bliss. That's literally what some of these folks say. That was literally a debate I had recently with somebody. I'm going to do a separate video about that one, I think. But it also is part of the same philosophy of eliminating the ego. Now, I think a lot of people find that concept distasteful. I certainly do. And I notice more people are coming out, like Gordon here, with an alternate perspective that I think is way more in tune with sort of a more wisdom-based approach than this very extreme perspective. So anyway, I'm just going to read off the post. So, ego and egotistical is the yin and yang of self. The ego itself isn't this horrible thing everyone likes to say. It is simply a tool, a chainsaw left on the floor and turned on will wildly move about, but in the hands of a skilled craftsman it creates additional tools. It's not about killing the ego, it's about controlling it, so it doesn't carelessly control you. If you were truly selfless, as so many want to say they aspire to be, then you wouldn't feed or clean yourself. You would deny the very existence of your being and your being's needs. If you have no sense or value of yourself, then you cannot see value or sense in others. So how do we learn to love without ego? Taking such a passive approach to life is not helpful to one's growth. We are absolutely connected to the trees, but if we were meant to stay put and allow everything to just happen, we wouldn't have legs and arms and voices, and if those things were meant to only serve others, we wouldn't get hungry, dirty, or need to use the bathroom. We have a self, and the continuance of itself requires a sense of self-importance, which is indeed why there is ego. I'm going to try to skip ahead a little bit so this video doesn't go into the night. I want to skip ahead and go down to the last points. We all need ego to find oneself, with the same ego to shine through and aid others. Those who simply state that you are being egotistical and recognize your ego, well, it's simply being jealous of your higher oneness. Not so sure I follow that one. So this is the main graphic. So what's really interesting, a way to kind of expand your consciousness about this topic is to not necessarily look at the left side as bad things. So let's look at how these balance. Ego seeks to serve itself, soul seeks to serve others. Great, but you still have to serve yourself. Sometimes you have to serve yourself to be able to serve others. I'm actually going to do these in reverse. Soul seeks inner authenticity while ego seeks outward recognition. Is outward recognition always bad? Because sometimes you need a little bit to keep yourself going, to stay motivated. For example, this channel. When I notice my subscriber count is actually in the minuses and YouTube stops recommending the channel to others, probably because they've been censoring channels, small channels like this one, then that messes up my motivation, and I feel like I'm not getting any outward recognition, and then I'm not able to keep informing people or making like spiritual related videos because I feel depressed about it. So it's natural. Soul seeks inner authenticity, though, which is also the way to not get so down in the dumps when that happens, so you can keep this backbone. It's necessary. Ego sees life as competition. Soul seeks life as a gift. Of course, the soul wins here. It's better to see life that way. But if you have to be a little bit competitive sometimes, then you can use that as a tool to maybe get something done. Soul seeks to preserve others, while ego seeks to preserve self. Again, you have to preserve yourself sometimes just to preserve others. Soul looks inward, ego looks outwards. Again, nothing wrong with that. Soul feels abundance, ego feels lack. Is that always bad? Of course, you want to lean towards soul. I think you should lean towards soul with all of these points. But when you feel lack, there's something interesting about that, because what it does is it means change and growth. So you feel a bit unsatisfied with something happening, that disconnection, that ego mindset a little bit, makes you want to go and create something. I'm in Indonesia. I was in Los Angeles feeling a lack of connectedness to people, lack of adventure, lack of fun, lack of affordability. And I thought, I'm going back to Southeast Asia. Now I'm back in Southeast Asia. I'm pretty happy. Soul is eternal, ego is mortal. Well, I don't know if, I don't think ego wins in this one. That's just truth. Soul is drawn to love, ego is drawn to lust. Similar concepts, lean towards soul. It's better to be drawn to love. A little bit of fiery passion and lust mixed in with love. I think most people will agree that's a pretty awesome thing. Lust itself isn't necessarily bad. When it's not to sound like Gordon Gekko here, but when it's a lust for something good, like you have this desire, a lust to accomplish something in life, or if we're talking sexually, lusting after somebody. As long as it's not just lust, and that's the fire that really makes it, can make for a great relationship even, or it's just a lot of fun. Soul is wisdom, ego seeks wisdom. It's an interesting point. You should seek wisdom. Soul enjoys the journey, ego enjoys the prize. Very good point. You want to lean towards soul, enjoy the journey. But when you get the prize, you don't want to just toss it out. You know, if you can like have that little bit of satisfaction because you accomplished this and you're hanging the trophy on your wall, that helps complete you a little bit. But if you throw out the soul level and you don't care about the journey, then you enter the rat race. You enter all of the jerks in Los Angeles who are just career-minded and they just care about competition and stepping on people to get to the top. And at the end, they're unfulfilled, unhappy. They end up dining on a bullet in a hotel room. That's why they keep Bibles in hotel drawers, because they think it reduces the amount of suicides from young urban professionals who realize their life is meaningless. They have $1 million in their bank account and they want to die. That's what happens if you're on the pure ego level. Ego is cause to pain, soul is cause of healing. Soul embraces God, ego rejects God. Interesting dichotomy. Is it always bad to reject God? Soul is eternal wholeness, ego seeks to be filled. Soul is we, ego is me. So it's very, very interesting because like the meme graphic is, I think, there to disparage the ego, but Gordon Robertson's essay puts it into a new light and basically talks about how it's not like we think it is. And ego on this level has its purpose, that we should lean towards soul, but we use ego like a tool, and that perpetuates our individuality. And if the ego level is reduced to 0, then you're no longer you. You've basically joined cosmic wholeness, cosmic oneness with the universe, but there is no longer a you in there. That there's no longer the cosmic and divine spark of individuality, which is what created the so-called ego mind, which, by the way, has nothing at this point to do with the Freudian concept of ego. Let's just get that out of the way. This is a whole new, like how you say, repatriation of the word ego. It's a whole new definition. So that spark of, call it divine individuality, the right-hand path versus the left-hand path. As a friend, Travis, you know who you are watching this. You made a post a long time ago about the path of the Grey Jedi. So in Star Wars, you had the Jedi, which is follows purely the right-hand path, and they're all celibate and purely follow the path of soul, which ended up making them very imbalanced in a way, which led to the crisis in the Star Wars universe that led to the Jedi being overthrown by the Sith, who completely followed the ego path, which was, again, imbalanced and wrong in the same way. Well, then the Grey Jedi came about, and they were the Jedi who saw that you have to have a mixture of both of these concepts to attain actual enlightenment. So both connection to God and the universe, while also becoming a greater, more powerful individual entity. Very interesting stuff. You see this manifesting a lot. I will continue arguing against the people who think that this list on the left has to be completely eliminated and we should all just rejoin the galactic soup. It tends to manifest in this world as people who get very passive-aggressive, or they become doormats and they lose their individuality or go around pretending to be greater and holier than everybody else while actually plunging into ego thinking. A lot to go over here, man. I just covered the base, the base of the tip of the base, whatever. Alright, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thanks for tuning in. You can get involved at afterlifetopics.com. That's where you can join the Facebook group, sign up to classes by becoming a patron or supporter of this work. You can shoot me a message, check out my author profile on Facebook, all that stuff. If you like this kind of stuff, check out my books like Understanding Life After Death. You can get that at Barnes & Noble, or you can order it on Amazon. That book is still, I think, hopefully doing its job out there and educating people about some of these very concepts. Talk to you guys next time.